Hello and welcome to this month's edition of Getting Off Track with yours truly, Ashley Stremme. You guys know how much this Thursday podcast means to Steve, Aaron, and I. We're getting to do something new, something fresh, something fun. I was so just ecstatic about how awesome the response was to the very first show I did with Diane Schatz. You guys loved her. It was so cool to see the outpouring and the love and the support that she got. And it was really awesome for her to share her story. So I'm excited for this week's episode. It is none other than the wife of Daryn Pittman. That's right. It's Mandy Pittman. I've known Mandy for many, many years. She's always been so welcoming, so honest, and so forward. And I can't wait to have her share kind of what's been going on with them. They've got to race. They own a business now. They're off the road, how the girls are doing. It's going to be an awesome interview, and I can't wait for you to check it out. So stay tuned right here on Getting Off Track.
Perfection isn't easily achieved. It takes hard work, dedication, and perseverance. Through their commitment to excellence, Sage Fruit Company has been supplying customers with the best tree fruit in the Pacific Northwest for over 3 generations. They work hard on the farm, in the packing facilities, and with their retail partners to provide consistent, high-quality apples and pears all year long. Look for Sage Fruit at your local grocer.
Welcome back. You're watching Getting Off Track. None other than Mandy Pittman joining me today. I'm so excited, Mandy. We've chatted numerous times over the year or over this season or years of racing, I guess I should say. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you just because you're so honest. You're so forthcoming with what you guys deal with on the road. But we have so much to chat about today. So let's get right to it. And we're going to start off with the Texas two-step because I know you guys were going there just to kind of be business owners, see your customers, and then who knew you'd be right back in the saddle, Daryn back in the sprint car, racing Casey Kane's car for the weekend. But I want to talk about where that kind of puts you because we know as wives, obviously the adrenaline, the rush, we enjoy that competitive side as well. But was that kind of something that you had kind of put in a box and put up on a shelf and had to bust back out for Texas?
Yes, absolutely. 100%. We were going to, eat concession stands food and hang out in the grandstands and see everybody and just enjoy it. And, within an hour of being there, he came, probably an hour and a half, he came out of the Casey's trailer with Casey's suit on. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of different than what we signed up for. So the whole mood, everything kind of changed, even for my kids, because they were like, whoa, dad's racing? Like, what is this about? And it kind of just changed the perspective a little bit, but obviously it was still great to see everybody and hang out. And it was cool to see him back in the 9 car, even if it only was for, a night or 2.
Absolutely. And let's talk about that, Mandy. Obviously, all your years on the road, dealing with that, being the wife, being the cheerleader, the motivator, the sounding board on the not so good nights. We take it just as personal as they do, on and off the track. And over the years, and then having kids that add into all of that. Talk about what it was like life on the road with you guys, raising your children and just having that opportunity to be not only somebody who's a supportive wife, but somebody who's that role model who also helps lead and show Daryn things that maybe he didn't see because he's sitting inside the car.
Right. I think honestly now it's easier now to kind of look back on all of that and kind of see how it all plays into how it's going. So I think it's really helped prepare us for what we're doing now. Believe it or not, just working side by side together every day. That in itself is, people don't realize that you're in a 40-foot box, in the motorhome traveling with a husband and 2 kids. And it gets small at times, and not just if it was a bad night, that adds even more, especially if it's a bad night and a week off. If it's a bad night and you can race the next night, then you have, it's okay. But when it's a bad night and you have that big weight or rain or something, you really just wish you could get right back into it so he can, I don't want to say redemption, but just so he can clear his mind and start over again. So there's a challenging aspect of that, just the results every night, night in and night out. And then once the kids came along, I think my role did change a little bit. Obviously, watching them, or beforehand, I think I could tell him a little bit more. He would say, well, where was so and so running, and how did he pass? How did he pass this guy, or what was he doing? And I could tell him all that. And then after, when kids come along, especially when they were really small, it was like, I was trying to make sure Katie didn't go down 2 rows to see the people in front of us. So it kind of changed a little bit. But he still kind of we always talk about it afterwards. Usually there's he usually eats, and then there was a food time. And then it was usually driving, in the wee hours of the morning is when we would kind of discuss everything. And obviously social media and Dirt Vision has helped all of this tremendously, because he can go back and watch now and see, rather than, back in the day, it was, it makes me sound so old, waiting for a phone call or the video clip to come out. So it's so different now, which is, it's better for the guys. They can get their own perspective of what they can see others, rather than just asking me and me hoping that I get it right.
No doubt about it. Mandy, with the trials and the tribulations over the seasons, is there one moment that was probably the lowest of lows that you can look back on now and go, wow, that was really a defining moment for us, for Daryn, for his career, and just really was kind of a building block, even though at the time in the moment, it probably wasn't enjoyable?
Yeah, I can know the exact day that happened. We were at Chili Bowl. I was hugely pregnant with Taylor. She was due in March. It was in January. We had just gotten back from Australia. We knew Australia did not go well with our car over there, and Reed was our car over here. We had everything prepared for the outlaw season, and just like that, we got fired. So, 6 weeks before the season, I'm not even sure it was 6 weeks. I ran all the books at Titan. I did, ran the race team per se. So it was really big, a low point of like, I'm pregnant. We have a race team ready to go, but we don't have a race team. What are we going to do? So it was a tough few months there. Obviously, Daryn got another ride really quickly, and I think he went to Florida and almost had, probably besides the 9-car, some of the best results that he had. But those few weeks of just questioning, what did we do wrong? How could we have done it better? Why is this happening? All that goes through your mind of what could we have done? Or, it just all runs through your mind when you lose something like that. And then we went to PA for 4 years. Obviously Katie was born. We had a great results in PA, and that led us to the 9-car. So like, look, when you can see the big picture now, it's like all of that fell into place, because when we were off the road, once we got back in the 9-car, we appreciated it. I feel so much better. I felt like we appreciated it so much better for what it was worth. And we tried to take that opportunity, race wise, personal wise, family wise. We just took it in more. So it at that moment, it was a really low point. But when you look at the big picture of what we did, it actually probably helped us get much more perspective in the career, family, everything. So it's kind of a
defining moment for sure.
For sure.
Yes, absolutely. And so now the transition, obviously you guys have Ultra Shield. You guys are running the company together. What do your daily duties look like, and how has that transition from being on the road, traveling to 90 plus races a year, to coming to the office every single day?
I know it's definitely different. So my kids have normal sleep schedules now, which is really crazy. So they get up. Katie has to be at school at 7:30, so she gets dropped off. Taylor gets dropped off, and then I come into the office. I'm here all day. I go pick them up occasionally from school. Daryn's mom does some, and then they usually come back here, and we're usually here till probably 6:30 every night. So different for all of us. They have their own room here in the shop, their playroom / schoolroom. so they can, chill, but yet still do their homework and everything. But it's been different. It's been really good. Honestly, my days at Titan, I learned a lot from that, help running around that race team, and Reeve taught me a lot. And I feel like that's helped me in the business sense here a little bit too. But I just do the every day-to-day operations, the paying the bills, the payroll, the more of the computer side of things. And then Daryn kind of handles the shop side of things on that side. So we have a good divide of what I think we each kind of know our strong points. So that probably helps a little bit. But we talk about everything. There's not a decision made here that's not discussed between both of us. And, I think that being on the road has helped us learn to work together in aspects like that. And even something as simple as talking it out, what do you feel about it? How do I feel? Okay, this is what's best for the company. So I think that's helped us, honestly, in the end.
It's a team effort, no matter if you're with a race car or without a race car. There's no doubt about it. You talk about the girls. I know Daryn has shared with us several times over the years that he kind of felt selfish towards the end of his career because he felt like the girls weren't getting, to do sports, to be in school and kind of live that normal childhood. But yet at the same time, they were getting to see things that most kids only learned about in school, and they're actually getting to see them in person. Talk about what it's been like for Taylor and Katie, how they've transitioned. Or do they miss the road, knowing that, that was their lives since they knew? And are they loving school? How are things going with the girls?
So the girls are doing amazingly great. They're honor students, straight A, doing great. Taylor was a little more nervous, like middle school. I was honestly super nervous about Taylor going to middle school, just because it's such a big transition from, homeschool to just middle school in general. And those kids there are slightly different, just middle schoolers. And Katie jumped right in, loved it. Her social aspect is just off the charts. She told me like the second week of school that she could not believe they did daily math every day. So she was really under the impression that school was just all fun and games. So but they're both doing really well. Taylor's in theater. She's jumped right in that. She's been the stage manager of 2 productions. So that's really encouraging for me to be able to see her kind of flourish and grow. She's found a couple really cool little friends. So that's been good. And then Katie's just loving it also. She loves her teacher, and she's best friends with all 20 of her classmates, she tells me. So
I love it.
And it's been really good, like a good transition for them. I think even last night at dinner, Daryn said, we were talking about an incident that had come up at school, or kids doing things they shouldn't or whatever. And Daryn just looked at me really like wide-eyed, and he was like, can we go back to homeschool? Like, I'm not ready to deal with that. Can we go back to homeschool? So obviously there was major perks in doing homeschool at home. We were together. The kids did get to see the world, the country, obviously, but they do enjoy the social aspect of. I think if you asked either one of them if they would go back to homeschool, they would probably say no.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see them in Texas. I know Aunt Zan was a huge influence on the road with them. So it was so good to see them all kind of back together as well.
Oh yeah, they were so excited to see Zan and Sheldon both. They were around with my kids, for several years growing up, and Katie was a baby. So they just see them. That's probably the hardest part for them, is just not seeing the people that they were used to seeing every single day. So when they get a chance to see them, they're like so excited. They do watch TV and watch Sheldon on the screen and cheer for him constantly. So, stuff like that, but it's just different when you're actually able to be with them. And we do talk to Zan and Sheldon, all the time, text and Snapchat and stuff like that. So we do stay in touch, but it's just not the same that when you're not there. So it was great to see them, and honestly, just to see everybody else. Like, the girls were so excited. It was like they were a whole new perspective. They were just taking in so many different things than they normally take in. Like, Katie was super interested in Rob working on the tires on the 83 car. Like, she was asking him questions, and why are you doing that? Like, she was so curious, and before she'd never even noticed the tires, so it's just a totally different perspective for them too. So it was good.
That's really awesome because, and even for you, Mandy, I mean, obviously you and Daryn used to go as racers, and now you're going as owners, and it's about meeting those customers for the first time, or shaking their hands and having that conversation. And Daryn's always been on the forefront of safety, so it's really cool to see you guys really fall into this position and really run with it. What's it like been for you knowing that you're now a role of a company, and making sure things are flowing and making sure you're seeing those people at the track and meeting those customers?
It's honestly good to see a face with a name. So here we can call and get the order and I can see it and I know what we're building them. I know what kind of seat they have. And then when I actually see the name, I'm like, oh, that's, it's good to actually meet people and see. So much of what we do is just on the phone or with orders. So it's to have a face with a name and to see the product in their car and to actually talk to them and form more of a relationship. That's important to us. We want customer feedback. That's how we are going to grow this company. And we want people to tell us their opinion. That's part of what we're doing and trying to take what some of the racers are saying. And Daryn's trying to take what he's learned. And obviously what he has learned is different than what someone else feels or how they feel their seat should be. So we're doing a lot more custom seats for people, just so people can get something exactly, what they want for their seat.
And of course, the world we're living in is a little crazy right at the moment. I'm sure materials are hard for you guys to get. How are you balancing that, being kind of new to the whole deal and then having this situation fall into place?
Yeah, that's we don't have any issues like at the moment. We've actually been really good about staying ahead of it. So we actually have some pretty good supply on some things, but on other things I am kind of waiting on stuff. It hasn't been, knock on some wood, it hasn't been anything to where it's disrupted us. But just trying to, I think used to they would project seatbelt numbers, not as far in advance. And now we're having to go a little farther in advance just to not necessarily to make sure we have the product, but just to make sure there's not an interruption in flow because there's a possibility now, so it's like, oh, it might happen. So we need to look even farther ahead for aluminum or farther ahead for issues like that, just to make sure it's never going to cross our table that it could be an issue on that side of things. So that's just been a little challenging trying to project what the future holds for that because you just don't know. We have orders for seats. I have my chart over there for way out. So aluminum's kind of, we know we have those orders, but other things you're just kind of trying to project and to keep enough stock so that you have and it's not an issue.
There's no doubt about it. Daryn talked about it a little bit. We actually have him on the television show Mac TV Saturday, or you can check it out on our Wing Nation YouTube. But Mandy, I just wanted to share, this is one thing that is going to start to grow with this Thursday show that I do. Daryn, I chatted with him and I asked him, I said, if there was one thing that people who knew Mandy but don't really know Mandy, there's one thing you could share, what would it be? And here it is. I want you to take a listen to it. If there's one thing that the sprint car world doesn't know about Mandy that you wish that you could tell them, what would it be?
Man, there's a lot. I mean, I don't think, I don't think that they realize how passionate or competitive that she is and how much that, I think a lot of people just think, well, she just sells shirts and takes care of the kids and has it easy because she doesn't actually do the work. But the fact that she lives what we do as much as I do, I mean, she lives my defeats and lives our victories every bit the same as I do. So when we're struggling and when we're hurting, I mean, I can tell. I mean, it's just as hard on her as it is me. And I mean, I know that's hard for probably some people to understand, but when it is your livelihood, and like I said, when you see something that your spouse cares about so much that either brings them joy or incredible, sorrow. I don't know, that's the wrong word. Like, I mean, it can be tough when you're running bad. And obviously it makes the good times good to be able to celebrate that with somebody that, is genuinely, goes through the highs and lows with you together. I just don't think that a lot of people realize the roller coaster of emotions that it takes to for a wife or a spouse to go up and down the road and to live that type of lifestyle together. So she's as competitive as they come. I mean, trust me, when it's my fault, she doesn't have any problems telling me about it. And when we're struggling, she's supportive, but I mean, she's real. She knows, she knows the problems better than I do. I go to her a lot of times to try to figure out what is wrong because, she can see it from a little bit farther away, and I can be a little bit too much into it to see that. So I just think seeing her passion and how much that she lives and breathes, obviously everybody does their family, but to do it for as long as we did would be surprising to most people.
That's cool.
I would dub you the power couple for sure. You two complement each other very, very well, and you make an excellent team.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's, like Daryn said, it's just, we do play well off each other. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are times when we are, like this, and that's part of it, I'm sure, as you know, but, for the most part, we've learned to talk through things and work through things. And maybe it is because of us being on the road and doing what we do night in, that it is the roller coaster ride that you're on it. And in business every day, when it seems like every day that I walk in this office, there is something else that's the issue of the day, so it's like, just when I think it's going to roll smooth and everything's good, something comes up or a machine breaks, or, it's always trying, and something that you have to try to just focus on the problem and try to just figure out the best solution. And sometimes I don't have the best solution, and sometimes Daryn doesn't either, but when we can talk about it together, it does help, things. But that's cool. It was cool to hear him say that. So, and I am super competitive. I and I think my kids are too. So when we have family board games, it is serious. So there's no just letting the kids win. It is, you are going to earn that. So I think my kids have gotten that side of things too. So
I absolutely love it. Well, Mandy, I know you're incredibly busy. I appreciate you taking the time always to sit down and chat with me. It's always great to catch up, and best of luck. Maybe we'll see Daryn in the sprint car later again this year.
I hope so. Thank you guys. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Mandy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.